Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay at home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight. Got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet. Cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. I'm really pushing out that hey.
Yeah,
'Cause,
see, I can feel you're faking it. You're just really, well, not faking it, but just like making it happen.
well, I'm digging down deep today. I'm just now getting my first cup of coffee after being up since 6:30. So it's been a morning, I tell you. But how are you been?
Awesome. Great.
Yeah.
Second day of school. Everybody's out the door. My teenager got himself up, got himself dressed, got everything done, got his everything together, and was out the door 3 minutes early.
There you go.
And, you know, other than accidentally letting the cat out and not taking those 3 minutes to get the cat back in, asking me to do it, other than that, everything was perfect. And
You gotta keep the cat in the bag, man. Don't let the cat
yeah,
out of the bag.
nice, nice. And I keep calling them my littles because that's what they were for so long, but they are in fifth and sixth grade, so they're not exactly little, but I guess smaller than than their brothers, I guess. But they got out the door just fine. They're across the street playing something with a ball. It's not an actual game. It's just more because some of them are kicking it to each other, some of them are throwing it, and one kid has a baseball bat, and it's
Oh,
like it's a rubber kickball size, and he's just baseballing it back to him. So I don't know, just
sure.
move the ball around, which
Nothing
is
nothing bad ever happened when a baseball bat was involved
ever
in a game.
or a big red rubber ball. I
Well, that
have
too.
I have issues with big red rubber balls.
You can
Dodgeball was
dodge a wrench, you can
hell.
dodge a dodgeball.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. We had a kid
Oh my
in
goodness.
it was sixth and seventh grade, and he was a foot taller than all of us. And he'd hit puberty already, I assume, because he was just a big fella and mean, just grew up in a bad place
All
and
those
just
raging hormones.
yeah, and just raised in some way that he thought, would being a bully was the way to live. And man, I'd get out the first round because I didn't want to play. I never wanted to be there. I didn't want to do anything. I'm like, no, okay, hit me. I'm here. I'm right here. And the
He's
coach said,
walking
you need
around.
to dodge that ball. I'm like, I don't have to dodge that ball.
He's walking around fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of sixth graders.
Yep. Man, that ball would come in like a missile.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
But still,
Oh,
I mean, in hindsight, it was fun.
yeah.
I don't actually getting the Winston imprint on my face from the ball.
Wilson, you mean?
Oh, yeah, Wilson. See, I
Yeah.
told you, sports.
Winston's the older, smarter
Rips.
brother.
Yeah, that's it.
Hey, this past weekend was Labor Day, and just nice to have an extra day. I feel like really nobody understands what Labor Day really is, but
it
hey, it's
it
a day
it
off of work.
is. It's a holiday set up for rich people to celebrate that people work for them because all the people that work for them still have to go to work.
That true. There is that definitely. Well,
I'm a little bitter.
I got to go to Kings Island with my dad because
Yeah.
they came down
Oh.
to visit. Yeah. So I got to spend an evening, just me and dad, riding roller coasters.
Uh-huh.
And
And
we had a good time. We had a
yeah, all right.
blast.
You,
It was
you've talked about it previously that it was a revelation you had between the way your
yeah.
dad treated it and the way you treated it. So I was wondering if you had bumped up against any of that.
No, I think that just recognizing it back,
Yeah.
just I think that really helped. We had a good time. We just enjoyed the rides, talking about the nostalgia of roller coasters that were no longer there, and just
Yeah.
interacting with different people in the line, especially a lot of younger people that were in line. There were a
Hmm.
lot of high school kids and stuff, and uh, you know, we got to be one of the last riders for the Beast that night, which is
Cool. Yeah.
that ride is iconic for a night ride. I mean,
Is it?
it
Yeah.
it's a cool roller coaster in itself. It's 45 years old. I mean, it's been around,
Hmm.
but to ride it at night, it's like everything about that ride is based off of the night. I mean, R.L. Stein wrote a book about it, actually.
Nice.
And so it's all about like
Goosebumps.
yeah, it's all about the night ride and everything like that. But it was a lot of fun. Probably one of the funniest things that happened while we were there was so we showed up when you're there at the end of the night, they stop all the rides because they do a fireworks show. And so we're just standing there in line and there's like this group of high school girls beside us and they're singing along to all the songs that are going on and there was it was Queen's Another One Bites the Dust and they were singing along to it and I started singing Another One Rides the Bus and the one girl goes, "What did you just say?" And I said Another One Rides the Bus and she was like, "What is that?" And I was like, Weird Al Yankovic. And so we got into this whole thing about Weird Al Yankovic and they were actually very intrigued because by the end of it they were like, "There's a movie with Daniel Radcliffe in it and what?" And so they're like, "We're going to go check that out." So yeah, so that was pretty funny to turn some young folks onto Weird Al Yankovic. And then I was listening to it last night with in the car with Hezekiah, and he was just like laughing. He was like, "This is hilarious."
Yeah. Yeah.
So turn on some new kids to youngins into Weird Al Yankovic fans. Nothing wrong with that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was a kid when I became a fan. So I
Yeah.
remember Yoda came out and
Oh
it was
yeah.
playing on the radio on Saturday night. Yeah, it was that long ago. And we would, we just had the radio on in the background and my brother was listening to something and Weird Al Yankovic came on, like the request line or whatever it was. And I'm like,
Yep.
"What? This is amazing." And of course my brother was like a teenager, so he was like, "That's fine." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"You love it. You know it." I didn't say that to him because he'd have punched me, but you could tell he
And
loved it.
just the fact that he's still around and putting out music, I mean,
Yeah.
it's like he's got some I don't know. I really enjoy him. He's very creative, probably one of the most creative like minds in music as far as being able to take that kind of stuff and just turn an entire song. My
Hmm.
favorite song by far is the parody for American Pie.
Yeah.
Hey, that here Anakin guy. So that one was
Nice.
funny. We were listening to that last night, and Hezekiah was like, "Wait a minute, what?" Like he was like hearing all these different things. I'm like, "It's talking about the Phantom Menace movie," and he was like, "Oh, that's cool."
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, we were just having a fun with it. And then my folks bought like $200 in Lego for the kids, and like Grandpa was like, "I just came down here to play, just to like play with Lego with the kid," and
Uh-huh. As
it,
you
it
should,
and they had fun. They were building all kinds of stuff. So
like a grandpa should.
yeah, yep.
So,
Well, that's
well,
I
good
love
that
that
you're
that's a fact.
yeah, and I like it too that he's involved and that he stays in your life at an appropriate amount, let's
Yeah,
say, and not
yep,
overbearing, which some parents can be.
true.
And I love to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, he was an involved dad. I mean, growing up, honestly, like
Oh yeah.
he coached sports for us, and he took us places, took us places. Heck, I mean, he took a couple days off of work when I was a senior in high school to take us to Cedar Point. So that we didn't have to get on a charter bus and ride up with everybody for like the senior trip. We went up early and got a hotel room with a bunch of friends. So and he
Hmm.
was the adult that paid, that vouched for all of us. So yeah. So yeah, it was a good time. We had a lot of fun just doing that. And at this point, now begins the countdown to HomeDadCon.
Hmm. Uh-huh.
I will be getting my ticket by the end of this week.
Well, nice. That's good that you're
Fine,
doing that. Great
finally.
example for all of our listeners.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you know. Oh, I also sold my motorcycle this past weekend too, by the way.
What?
Yeah.
Why? What? I mean, okay,
Uh,
cool, but
I
why?
sold it so that I could buy an e-bike.
All right,
Um,
sure. I mean, e-bikes are great, but yeah,
yeah,
your motorcycle, man.
yeah. I honestly, I would rather have something that I'm just a little more comfortable riding.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that,
and you've put in the time
yeah.
and you've done the things with it. It's not like, you just got it today. You've had some time with it and
Oh
have
yeah,
taken
sure.
it to contest and the peg leg and everything else.
Yep.
So yeah, I could see that. And especially too, I don't know how portable it is, but if you were driving somewhere, you might take it with you to a convention or something. I don't know.
It's
And
not
zip
as
around town on
portable.
your
It's
own.
not as portable as the e-bike will be.
Yep. Yeah, that's
which
what I meant. It's the
which
e-bike. You might be
which
able
in all
to.
honesty, if it works out, I might bring the e-bike with me because I can zip around town
Mhm.
much easier after I park the car. So
Right. Way easy.
yeah,
And we've talked before about using the scooters at the convention cities and such.
yeah,
And you
exactly.
do. I remember specifically in Phoenix. I'm like,
Oh, Phoenix,
where'd
yes.
Brock go? And you're like, "Bzzz." Oh, all
I'm like,
right.
I'm really hot. This breeze feels
It does.
great.
Yeah, this I'm actually surviving.
You guys done sweating? It's going back and forth while you guys were like
Just
finishing
waiting
up
us to
painting.
finish that awning and painting and everything. Yeah. And even in DC. And I love too that we're realizing how valuable those are.
Oh
And
yeah.
every major city that I've been to recently has had them available. You can rent them or whatever, which I love. I won't get on a scooter, just hands down, because that nobody wants to see that. Everybody will laugh if they do, and I will fall. So,
I'm
but the
telling you, man,
bikes, I'm
the
looking at the
VO ones
bikes.
that you can sit down on though, like I
Yeah.
showed you, those are that's the way to go right
We're
there.
pushing that one in. But I'm gonna wait until like the last day of the convention in St. Louis and then try it, so that if I do get hurt, I don't have to spend the whole week explaining. Danny, what happened to your face, man? Yeah, I fell off a scooter and just scraped it off on the ground. That's on the asphalt. So,
Oh
but
my goodness.
anyway,
Yeah.
so
Anyway, who we got on today?
well, we've been talking about a lot of things that we do, and especially with a lot of us shifting gears that our kids are going to school, and even some of us that have kids that are as young as 3 that are going to for daycare for an hour or whatever it might be. And so you finally have some time to yourself, which is very rare in this job. And what do you do with it? And a
Yeah.
lot of times, like for the first couple of times when I would get like a night off, what are you going to do? I don't know. Just listen to the silence, just not nap, I guess. I'm exhausted. I can't do anything. But a big part of it is tying right into our guest is self-care. And
Yep.
as you know, my mantra is self-care is best care. You need to take care of yourself. You can put on your oxygen mask before you try to put it on anyone else, that sort of thing. And what's really cool is we have a presenter this year who's going to talk about self-care, and that
Cool.
is Jen Haston. And
That last name sounds familiar.
yeah, I don't know. I think they're, yeah, but Jeremy's wife, Jeremy Haston's wife. And yeah, looking forward to hear what she has to say and really looking forward to her presentation. Self-care, like I said, is my thing. I did the keynote on self-care last year and I've done several breakouts on self-care. So I think we need it every year. We need to
Yeah.
remind our listeners and our dads and our members and everybody at the convention, you need to take care of yourself. So
Yeah. No,
see
definitely.
what she
And
says.
especially with the campaign No Dad Alone that, we're involved with. I think that is definitely this is going to be a good one.
Mhm.
A lot of connecting points there. So we'll be right back with Jen Haston.
Join us for the Dad's Run 5K in St. Louis 2024, benefiting the Fathers Overcoming Adversity Fund. Brand new to this year is the 1 mile Arch March. For our walkers or runners that want a short option, we got you. Participate in personal or virtually. The live event includes a 5K finisher medal, post-race food, and refreshments. Virtual participants complete their 5K the week of October 18th through the 20th, 2024, with a registration fee covering medal shipping. If you are unsure of how to train for 3.1 miles or think it too daunting, the plan Couch to 5K will get you there in 9 weeks. There's still time to start the journey. Link to this program can be found in any of the posts about the 5K on our social media platforms. Again, the date for the convention is October 17th through the 19th, 2024 in St. Louis, Missouri. In person to register for the 5K is $35. Virtual registration is $40. Sponsored by plantorun.com. To learn more, go to athomedad.org/Dads Run This House 5K.
All right, and we are back, and we have our guest Jen Haston with us, or better known on the Instagrams as the Boss of Balance. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about y'all? I'm really glad to be here, Brock and Danny.
Chilling like a villain.
Yep,
Good day for
just
me.
hanging out. So it's nice to be able to talk to you again. It was good to see you a few months back when I was on my way out west and finally getting to meet you in person. So I'm excited that you're coming to HomeDadCon. That's going to be fun.
I am pretty jazzed about it as well. I've been checking out all the different speakers y'all have, and I am honored to be among them. And I am ready to have a good time with the dads and talk to them about all the caregiving, all the resting, and everything that y'all have planned for them. I'm jazzed about all of that, and I'm really jazzed to be part of what we're going to do. I'm just a whole jazzamified vibe about this whole dad kind. I am ready, y'all.
Yeah.
Well, I think my wife would be jealous. I haven't actually mentioned to her that you're going to be there, but I think she would be jealous because yesterday she was talking to Joe Saladino through Facebook Messenger, and afterwards she was like, I just feel like I just need to take some time off and just come out to HomeDadCon as well.
And she does. She
Probably,
does.
yeah.
I mean,
Are
that
women
may not be
welcome?
something. Well, I mean, yes, absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
yes.
Yeah.
I think
is
pretty
the
much
thing
anything
is
except for it's pretty much anything except for the actual mental health breakout session is like really the only
yeah.
thing.
And even that, like we've had psychologists and what have you, and counselors that are women, and they showed up, and of course that was fine. But it's really, I mean, it's a dad conference, so
Sure.
everything's going to be skewed that direction. So if you don't, I guess, identify as a dad, it's not going to really hit you the same. But every speaker that we've had, I'll point out Melissa Davidson as an example. She was there last year.
Yep.
Yeah, last year. And just is still a great friend of the organization, of the show, of ours. She found out
She
we're
has a
coming to
podcast
DC
with her
and
kid, right? I think I remember
Yeah.
you were talking about
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
And it's a podcast. It's a kid, so it's pretty good. It actually was pretty good. You can tell that they're starting out and there's a little spits and spurts, but it was really it was good for their the show that they're producing. It was great.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I have a question then. I know we're going to talk about self-care, and everybody that listens, I think, knows I'm all about self-care. But because we brought it up, Marnie, my wife, has gone to the convention with me once, my very first convention in Raleigh. And it was just our first opportunity to get away. I'm pretty sure we had all 4 kids at the time, but anyway, we had a bunch of kids and they were overwhelmed. They outnumbered the parents. So got my mom to come in and take care of them, and we left. And most of the time, probably the entirety of the time, Marnie being an introvert, she stayed in her room, knit, read books, relaxed, and I think we got lunch together one day or dinner together, but most of the stuff that we did was separate. Because the lunch, the meals are all planned, or it's somewhere you're going to go hang out, and do a deal like convention eve where you're going after that. So my question is, have you and Jeremy talked about how much time you're going to spend together while you're there? And are either of y'all, because you live very close, staying at the hotel?
This segues so beautifully into everything I want to talk about. It's like you planted that question, Danny.
Weird.
Jeremy and I talked about the fact that, and of course I'm referring to Jeremy Haston. Everybody who listens to this podcast knows him, loves him, and that's fantastic. We were talking a little bit. Yeah, he knows him, loves him. We talked a little bit about, I'm going to be at the convention. He's going to be there too, because I'm speaking. And I started to get really excited. I was like, oh, I can do this and I can do this. He's like, love you, babe. This is kind of my break. I was like, that's fair. And I think at a time before therapy, I would
Yes.
have been really hurt and defensive and
Oh,
frustrated and aggravated, but yay to therapy. And
yes.
also years of a relationship working. You
Hmm.
talk to each other and be honest with each other. And I got to give him kudos too, because like that's not always something he would have said. He would have maybe muscled through it and been like, I don't want to upset her. I don't want to frustrate her.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, I could do this and I could do. He's like, okay, before you get too excited, let me slow you down and remind you that this is kind of my space. I was like, that's fair. That's totally fair. And so one of the things that we talked about, I know that y'all always do a prep for the guys who are getting ready to come, and not just the guys, but the folks who are coming and the presenters who are coming, because the loved ones and the children need to be taken care of while the parents are away. So whatever that looks like, making sure you set up your partner for success is an
Hmm.
important thing. And so Jeremy and I've been talking about that too. It's like, okay, so we're having a conversation. What's going to happen while the convention's going on? Because I have a lot of other stuff I'm doing too. I'm not just there. I'm not just speaking. There's a lot of stuff I'm responsible for, and I'm really excited about it. I want to make sure that everything is doing well with the home fires, you know.
Hmm.
So
No, that's good. I think that that is just it's a great example of having a balanced marriage as well and being on the same page. I think that we see that in different Facebook groups and even in our Discord channels and things like that, where dads are like, how do I have this conversation? How do I position myself to be able to even get the opportunity to go to HomeDadCon or to go do, XYZ favorite thing that I want to go do, fishing, whatever it is, type of thing.
Hmm.
And I think that, and not feel guilty about it as well, I think is the other big side of it. And so that's awesome to hear that, you guys have worked through whatever things you had to deal with to get to the point that where it's a very like understanding situation with being in the same space, but then also to like giving space.
Yeah. Yeah. And we talk about learning to ask these questions, learning how to say these things. And a big part of it through therapy for a lot of us too is learning how to listen. Jen, you mentioned that, previously, if you'd heard that, it would have hit you differently. It would have upset you, right? And I know a lot of things that people used to say to me would upset me that I'd be like, oh no, I know why you're saying that. And getting that ability to listen in a way that we go, okay, they're saying this. What is it? What is their intent? What do they mean? I know how they talk. This is how they express themselves. As an example, Marnie hates being on the phone and doesn't really like talking in person. And when she talks in person, she needs a script, really. And I'm extemporaneous and I just go and go and go. And
yeah,
I always say exactly what I mean. And how could you not? You said that. How do you not mean that? You said it and it hurt me. And understanding that, no, no, that wasn't the intent. They were trying to say this, but they don't know how to say that, or they don't know how to ask that. And I love to hear that that's in your relationship as well. And I could have told people that I've met y'all. I know how you are. But it's kind of the way you develop that communication is so very important so that you can have those hard conversations. You can say, look, I love you. I need a break. And I need a break from everything. And that includes you and I for right now. Not our relationship, not our being a couple, nothing like that. But I just need time away. Or I need to, go do this thing and I need to do it without you. And how do you say that without hurting somebody's feelings, especially the person you love most in the world? So that's very good. That's very good. I love to hear y'all are doing that. So, but
I
are
love
you,
that you
go
said
ahead.
work through it, because that's a super important piece of it, right? Because I don't want it to come across like I'm an expert and like we got this on lockdown, because we are on the journey, right? Like we screw up, we mess up. And one of my favorite phrases is, if you screw up, you clean up and then you make up, right? And we have a phrase that, I've talked to Jeremy a lot about how I wanted to present this information. Obviously, I'm not sharing anything you won't hear at the convention, but there's always some surprises in store. The biggest one, though, is making sure that you're having a conversation. And one of the things that we do, and find your own startup phrase. I don't like to put words in people's mouths because words are really important. The words we use matter. And one of the things
Yes.
that we say when we're about to have a difficult conversation is, I love you. I choose you. I choose our marriage. I'm on your side and I know you're on mine, which is really important for someone who came from a childhood trauma like I did, where nobody was on my side. Not to dig too deeply in that, but that phrase really helps us center and have a conversation of love and support.
Love that.
Love it.
That's yeah. That's we're gonna rack that. That's for that's a good one. I like it. Yeah, and it seems to go along with what you have here. I'm looking at your Instagram account. The balance of or the boss of balance. I was wanting to get a little bit into that because I
Mhm,
see that along with that too, you've got a website called Hasting Helping Hands. But
mhm.
before we get to the website, the Instagram account, like kind of what brought that about, like what kind of spurred you to even create the handle for the account?
The boss of balance came from the fact that I have a lot of insecurity about not being an expert and not having a degree, which I'm fixing come May of 2025. I've got 5 classes left. I'm getting my bachelor's degree in psychology.
Woo,
Um,
Very
congratulations. That's
cool.
awesome.
Very
Thank
cool.
you very much. And one of the reasons I came up with the moniker as the boss of balance is because some days it's a description. I'm perfectly balanced, everything's great. And then some days it's an aspiration. And I feel like it's important to talk through that. So the immediate thought is, oh, the boss of balance, she's got this figured out. No, I don't. No, I don't. Let me be really clear. I do not. Some days are better than others. And sometimes it's like this hour, I'm really balanced, but this hour,
Mhm.
not so much.
Yeah.
Uh, Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's where
I
it
just
comes
had
from.
this. I had this image of like someone walking on a tightrope with like an umbrella. There's like one leg off the rope, and the other one on type of deal.
And there's chimpanzees throwing stuff, bananas at you. That's your children.
Wow,
Yeah,
you cleaned
exactly.
that up, Danny. I'm so interested in that choice.
It's been a day. No,
Bananas, huh? That's what you think they're
Bananas.
throwing at?
They're throwing bananas at you.
Uh-huh. Sure.
that's what
Yeah,
I
that is the
smell.
clean version.
That's what I smell.
But yeah, no, that's awesome. And then so talk a little bit about Haston Helping Hands. What is that about?
That is a company I started 12 years ago, and it's about coaching people on their resumes. And it's really evolved into being a person who coaches people about being better parents, partners, and people, because everybody needs that. And the idea
Yeah.
is that I want to be inclusive as possible, saying loved ones and making sure that we're talking about partners, because not everybody identifies as a spouse. Not everybody
Mhm.
identifies as a husband or a wife. So I feel like partner is the most inclusive language I can use. And Hasten Helping Hands, I was proud to take Jeremy's name when we decided to get married. And helping is what I live to do. And hands, I think, are really important. So I tried to make it as tactile as possible. You reach out to touch someone. Obviously, I can't touch you, but virtually, I'm hugging both of you. And I'm really glad that we're talking about this, because I'm really proud of the fact that that's what I named my company, and started about 12 years ago.
No, that's awesome. The idea that taking a resume to somebody before actually submitting it to a company, I have seen over the years just the importance of it. Um, that's something that my wife has gotten really good at resume stuff too. And so like a lot of family and friends are, hey, I'm looking at a job, and she's like, send me your resume when you get it situated and let me like basically like critique it and red ink it and basically send it back to you. And I think that um just watching her do that, it shows that one, that they're taking the time to care, but at the same time too, like you have this very crisp, clean resume to send in, and your possibilities of getting that job that you want rise so much higher. So I love the fact that that's something that you're doing as well, because I feel like there are people that need to take advantage of stuff like that, and sometimes they're like, oh no, and I don't want anybody to see this, or I've got it under control. And it's like, you know what, a second pair of eyes is always
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
for stuff
It's a
like that.
skill set. It's
Hmm.
getting a job as a skill set, especially if you're looking at a job that needs a resume. Most of the jobs I've ever had, I don't think they could spell resume. It's just like, you want to come work on the house? Yeah, okay, let's work on the house. And then we'd be there until the job is done, kind of stuff. Maintenance and construction, never needed it. But looking at any job beyond those basic ones, especially if you're looking for a salaried position, you really need to step that up. you need to, one, understand how to do your resume, two, how to show up at the interview, but I think more importantly, to how to get your resume looked at as opposed to the 30 others that they'll have. And literally you see people going, nah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, maybe this guy.
Right.
You know, and it's like, what random garbage is this? So again, Marty
Yeah.
being
Absolutely.
in HR, she's helped a lot of people.
And back to the most important job that we're talking about today. When you're a dad, you don't need a resume. It's kind of like, hey, you're a dad. This is your
Mhm.
new job. What have you done before? No one cares. What are you
Yep.
doing now?
Yeah. I will say though, when I stepped away from the working world into being an at-home dad, the one thing that Corey was very adamant about was keeping track of what I was doing, especially with different volunteer things and what kind of oh, you're doing Cincinnati Dads group, like, oh, you got this interview or this article, and like being able to do that stuff, and then running the convention for a couple of years on the board and stuff like that, like those things all helped for when I actually stepped back into the workforce, because I was able to basically show all this different stuff. And that's the one thing that I feel like at the convention there's always a conversation around, oh, how do I get back into the workforce after being out for so long? Not that Danny's
I
going to. Danny's retired forever, so
Yeah. I'm retiring from this job. I
I
got,
tell my clients all the time, Brock, that is a fantastic thing, and Corey is a great partner that she pointed that out, is your volunteer work is still work. It doesn't matter whether you were paid for it or not, it's still work, and you used
yep.
your brain power, and anything that you can bring to the table to say, I did this, and any kind of numbers you can bring up and say, I took it from here to here, golden.
Yeah. Hey, so with the whole balancing things out and taking time out, not getting into your talk too much, but I'm curious, like, one, do you find it difficult to take time for yourself? And two, when you get that time, what do you typically like to go do?
Well, that actually spurs a question I have for your audience that I was actually going to ask. Because you have a wide listenership and people who are listening to this in preparation, I want to know what they want to talk about because I have curated content that I'm creating specifically for the dads. And I want to know what they want to talk about because this is going to be interactive. It's not going to be me standing up there going, la 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 la. Like we're actually going to interact. And I've got plans for y'all. So I'm really excited about that. To answer your question, I'm not judging it. You said before, both of you talked about parent guilt, right? I think that's the number one thing to overcome when you do find that you have that time and putting it in both pockets, right? And going, look, I'm balancing this out. I did all this stuff with my kids. If it's helpful for you, make a list of all the stuff that you did. Go, oh, I have a little time right now. What do I want to do? It's important to have a list of things that you like to do. So, okay, I've got 5 minutes, I'm going to do this. I've got 15 minutes, I'm going to do this. I've got an hour, I'm going to do this. I've got 3 hours, I'm going to see a movie. That's me. Sometimes that's Jeremy. It really depends on what's playing.
yeah.
But my number one form of self-care is to go see a movie by myself. It is the best feeling ever. Love it.
Hmm.
And the thing too about that is that self-care is personal. Like a friend of mine, she lives to make spreadsheets. We call it Spraglove, because we thought it was funny and kind of German, but not really. And so she loves to make spreadsheets. You cannot imagine something that I would not enjoy more than that. But I'm not going to yuck
Right.
anybody's yum. Like if that's her joy,
Bingo.
fantastic. Same with your partner, same with the person that you're looking at and going, I don't understand. And if that brings you joy, I'm on board.
Yeah, I love that. For me, it's disc
Spreadsheets.
golf or fishing usually.
And
Marty's
that's a
got
lot
a,
of time, right? So you feel guilty sometimes. I'm putting words in your mouth, but do you feel guilty for taking that long?
It depends on what's going on, but not typically. Because it's one of those things where it's like Corey would be like, "You no, you've earned this time. Like you need this time. It's important for you to reset and
Yeah,
be able to come back and not want to burn the house down, kind of
yeah,
deal. Because just of all the chaos."
yeah.
I
Danny,
don't,
how about you?
I don't feel guilt like ever. I don't have that emotion. I've got a damaged amygdala, so it's not like it's normal, but my psychologist said it's fine. As long as I recognize repercussions and what have you and reciprocity, I need to make sure I'm not a bad person, but I don't feel guilt about it. I did always find a reason not to do it because there was so much going on. I always put myself last. I still to this day, you know, we're eating. I made eggs for breakfast this morning. You know, just for the littles. Okay, we just have some eggs or whatever. You know, you have just a little something to eat. They eat breakfast at school, but you know, and the two of them wanted. I mean, I cooked 6 eggs, right, and they wanted all of them and they ate all of them and I didn't get any eggs, right? And I didn't even think about it, right? And that's kind of what you do as a parent. You give, you know, what have you. So things like that have always come first. So my issues with self-care basically come down to not really do I deserve it, but I've got so much other stuff I need to be doing. And I can't take time for this. I've got to go, you know, like you said, all the volunteer stuff. I'll just say that the board is kind of demanding and the other things that I do. And yet I'm still thinking about joining the PTO this year. Like, why? When do you have time for that? What are you, a moron? You know, but if it was somebody else, I would tell them and help them and guide them into, no, you need to do this for yourself. So
Yeah.
I've never really felt bad about it or that I couldn't do it. When I get it, I go. I just go.
Awesome.
I drop everything. I don't set Marnie up for success on those days or those times. I don't worry about it. I'm like, no, I'm out. You know, if I am going to go see a movie, which is something that I'm going to start picking up this season, yeah, I'm heading out. And honestly, a lot of the things we do as parents, you make into self-care where you're like, I could finally go grocery shopping by myself. So I can listen to my music. I can listen to my book. I can do whatever. I do my thing and I don't have to worry about anybody else. And that is in its way self-care. But again, it's still, well, I'm going grocery shopping. So
you're
how
doing
much
something
of
for
it
the
is,
household.
yeah, it's still for other people. So
Yeah.
Which can
Well,
be a date
something
in
you said
itself.
before. Go ahead, Brock.
I was gonna say going grocery shopping or whatever, we just you and your spouse is all it can be a date in itself.
It can be. It can also be a real opportunity for strife. I'm not reporting on any personal issues whatsoever. That never happened between Jeremy and I.
that's good. That's good. Y'all are mature, never have those problems. It's wonderful.
Just kidding. I was going to say the other thing
Yeah.
too is that being intentional, like what you said before, Danny, it's like you said, I don't have time. It's like you have to make the time. Otherwise it doesn't happen. And this is a spoiler alert, what we're going to talk about is this idea that it's like, oh, I'll put it in at the end of the month. It'll be fine. It's just like your money. Like if you say, hey,
Yes.
I'm going to put the money in at the end, it's like, it's never gonna happen. Like it's just not. So let's not lie to ourselves and pretend you're going to find the time for self-care. You have to make it. And it's like life is going to life. It's going to get in the way. So the whole thing that I talk about to all of my clients is you have to make the time. Like you have to put it on a calendar and say, this is something I'm putting on the calendar. And yes, there will be times when you have to change that too. You just have to always come back to that base level of, I need this time. So Jeremy and I really had a hard time working this out. And when we finally figured it out, it was like we both get one night off at least a week from no parenting. Love our child, love her dearly.
Yeah.
And there are times when whoo, she makes it very difficult. I'm just being honest, you know?
Yeah.
And I try very hard not to use the word just. I'm being honest.
You're being honest.
And it's important to say how difficult it is. Somebody posted on Instagram yesterday, you know, we don't give parents enough room to say, this is hard. This is really hard. And pretending that it's not is what makes everybody feel like a failure. Because it's like, well, wait, it was easy for you? Well, then what am I doing wrong? Nothing.
Right.
You're doing nothing wrong. Let me normalize it for you. Parenting is hard.
Well, there was a report that just came out recently talking about mental health in parents. I don't know if you saw that, Danny, or not, but
I didn't read it, but I saw it.
It was basically talking about just the fact that I was trying to pull it up here actually, but basically it was just talking about the fact that, you know, like parenting is hard and, you know, just all the different things of that. I thought it was interesting too, like, you know, some people, they're like, really? Like, how did you not know that parenting was hard? Like, obviously, like it's going to be difficult. You're raising a small you and all of that comes into play.
And
more importantly, you're raising someone who looks like you, but is nothing like you in some ways. And that is disconcerting and also awesome. You
Right. It's
know?
like, wait,
Yeah.
wait, you don't love this thing that I love? How can you not love this thing that I love?
Right?
And
Like my
yeah,
kid
because
loves the
I'm my own
outdoors. I
person.
like looking out the window at the outdoors, and she
Yeah.
loves the outdoors. Kid has
Yeah.
never met a blade of grass she did not love. Every doodle
Yeah.
bug,
Yeah.
every
No.
single one, and they all have names.
Of
So
course.
so that report actually was something that was put out by the Surgeon General, by the way. So that's
Brock, will you add that to the show notes? That would be amazing.
yeah, I will. I'll actually I just pulled up the Wall Street
Don't
Journal
forget.
version. I don't know if actually the Wall Street Journal version I won't put up because you have to pay for that. I'll
It's a
find
paid.
I'll find a
Thank you for
non-paid.
not doing the paywall
Yeah,
business.
I'll do a non-paid wall one somewhere. There's a bunch of different ones, but I did just find it interesting though that like, here you have somebody who's in a very high position, the Surgeon General coming in and saying, "Hey, like, you know, parents," it says basically paternal stress is sometimes a debilitating thing. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know that if I was to go to my parents and say, "Hey, did you see that as debilitating?" that they would see it that way just because vocabulary, but after a conversation, I think they'd understand what it is. But I that just being able to put that in the context works well, but at the same time too is a high hurdle, I think, for a lot of like employers to wrap their minds around, because every parent situation is different. And I know from being in the position that I'm in with some of the staff that I work with that, from time to time, I've had ones who like they understand it, they've got a good balance on it, and then I've got others who like their life and parenthood is just chaotic, and it's very interesting trying to balance the two out because you get some people like, well, my life isn't like this, but I see theirs is, and I don't,
Hmm.
like, it's not fair that they basically get to come in and just be like, life is awful, and like waiting for somebody to like, help them out in different ways. But it's like, like we all kind of need to come together and and support each other, because if you're not, like, you're just leaving somebody out there in the wings to fend for themselves. And I go back
Yeah.
to the No Dad Alone campaign. Like, it falls right in line with that. You get dads who, oh, I couldn't talk to anybody about this, or nobody else is dealing with this. And it's like, no, there are definitely dads dealing with this, and you can definitely talk about this in a safe space, and
Right.
nobody's going to attack you on it.
I
And the
think there's a safe space called the Dad Lounge. Is that right, guys?
There is, yes.
and the difference in the expectation of a mom and a dad has always been so huge. We as dads are allowed to be goofy. We would screw things up. We're going to break things. We're going to try to build a thing and it's just going to fall over. I mean, just we should have called a contractor. All of those things fall in line with what a lot of people believe dads do as parents. Well, he's just, what are you going to drink beer and sit on the couch and hope the kids don't set the house on fire, right? But the expectation for moms has always been, oh, you're pregnant. All right. Well, in an appropriate amount, like say 9 months, you will have a baby and you will be a mom and you will know everything. You will have everything you need to know about, the everything from diapers to food to breastfeeding to essential oils to whatever it might be. And you run into a culture of people that think, well, this is where we are. Oh, you're here? Well, you're a piece of crap. You're a horrible mom. And I've seen that on blogs and on the mom wars that went on for very, very long. And the thing that I think irritates me most about all of that is the realization, the lack of realization that yeah, it's not that easy. It's gross, it's hard, it's messy. A lot of times you don't know what you're doing. I still don't know what I'm doing. And it's been 14 years and I've got an 18-year-old. So it's been 14 years at home. I've had a lot of experience and a lot of stuff I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what an IEP is. I didn't have to do that, right? And what irritated me most and has to this day irritates me is when I read, like generally go for a recipe or something or a blog, and they say, my name is Danny, and I'm the father of 4 wonderful children. And I'm like, you liar, you lie. Your children have moments when they're wonderful. Yeah. But everybody is a jerk at some point, What that beautiful, wonderful child wakes up in the morning and is hangry. Are they wonderful? No, no, they're a monster, just like every human
I
being.
I was gonna say I love, like, so I'm a really big fan of comedians, and you run across quite a few, especially on like TikTok and Instagram. And I one that sticks out to me, kind of going along with what you're talking about, Danny, is this. It was a single guy, no kids or whatever, and he was talking to a woman in the crowd, and he's like, "Oh, like you're a mom?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh," he's like, "How many kids do you have?" And she's like, "I have 3 crotch goblins." And he goes like, "Did you just call them crotch goblins?" She's like,
Yep.
"Yes, I did."
I call them sex trophies.
Nice.
Man, Marnie's fine with it, which is good. But I've heard other they're like, especially you get a lot of young men that get kind of sassy, and I'm like, okay, do you need me to put you in your place? All right. Are you good at this? All right. Well, I have 4 trophies. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, look, they're right there. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
man. But yeah,
You know,
children, go ahead.
we're both all circling around this whole thing where it's like parenting is nothing but experimentation, and you just hope that things don't blow up. And when they do, you have to clean it up. But it's like you try this thing at 4 o'clock on Tuesday, it works fantastic. And then on Wednesday at 7 a.m., not so much.
Yep.
And it really is that simple and that complicated, that it is difficult, and it is the best job you'll ever have. It's also the worst job you'll ever have. You're not paid for it. All the things. And I really applaud what y'all are doing, because I've been listening to the podcast and, checking out all your resources. And I think you have a vital source of information for dads who need it. I think that there's such a great space here, especially the conversations that you've had about, why is it different for stay-at-home dads in the world when they take their kids out? It's like, yeah, because people give them a look, and that moms never get that, even though maybe they're not a mom, maybe they're a caregiver, they're the nanny, but they're automatically given the title of mom because they happen to look like it. So we're all based on that appearance, right? And it's like, seeing Danny or Brock out at the park with their kids, it's like, awesome, you're with your kids. That should be it, right? Like, it should be it. It should not be, oh, that's so nice, that guy is baby. Nope, he's not babysitting his kids. He is parenting his kids. So.
Yeah.
And moving to a point where hopefully in the next generation, maybe or two, where it's no big deal. It's which one of you is better at the cognitive labor of this family? Which one of you is better at handling the emotional stress? Which one of you is better at handling the money and yada, 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 yada. Every single part of it, looking at it and just like, okay, I'm really good at this and you're pretty good at it, but I think I like to do it and you don't really like to do it. So let me do this part. And the parts that neither one of you like and neither one of you want to do, well, then you can just make a list and go, okay, these are your 5, these are my 5, whatever. But understanding that it doesn't take, and I don't mean this in any way bad about women or moms, not at all, but it doesn't take a mom to parent a child. You don't have to have a mom. Dad is just as capable. Biologically, we're just as capable. We do it absolutely different. There's huge differences in how we parent, and you can just see that on almost every relationship. But whether it's 2 dads, 2 moms, a single parent, on and on and on, whatever it is, you're the parent. You're the person taking care of all of those things to raise, hopefully, a strong, loving, good human being. And it doesn't matter. I'm just going to say it like I say it. It doesn't matter if you have a penis or not.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, this has been an awesome conversation. I feel like it can continue on, which it will continue on in October, which is only a few weeks away. But I will say this to to our listeners, that if you have something that you want to basically get to Jen for the talk, you can put that in the comments. That way she can kind of have it ahead of time. Probably would help with presentation and all that. So we'll pass that along. But then also we'll have in the show notes just the different her website and the Instagram as well. But this has been a lot of fun talking, and honestly, like it's just great preparation, honestly, for coming into the convention and just sort of getting a mindset of, all right, like it's okay to take time and go do things like a convention, or just even a day, to yourself, or even that hour like you were talking about. So I really appreciate you coming and talking to us about it today.
Of course, it's my pleasure. And I'm going to ask, how many of you have not bought your tickets yet? You should get on that. If you're listening to me, buy the tickets. Brock.
Who do we know that
it's been an ongoing thing for me.
Weird.
I'm going to admit, Jeremy told me that last night. I said, I'm going to call him out. I'm going to see how the Q&A goes and we'll see, but I'm going to call him out. Why haven't you bought your tickets yet, Brock? Come on.
I don't know. I just keep
Gotta be money,
forgetting
right? Is
to
it
do
money?
it. It is partially a money thing, but it's also just I keep putting it off. So
Okay. Well, I'm going to ping you next week because I have your information. I'm going to ping you next week and ask you.
I should have it by the end of this week. So
I'm
we'll be
excited
good.
about that. Awesome. So you're going to email me and tell me you got it done?
I will make a big post about it on Facebook so everybody will know, and that way nobody can get after me anymore. It's done.
Awesome. In all seriousness, if
Finished.
anybody wants to follow me in the meantime so you can learn more about me and what I offer, the handle The Boss of Balance on Instagram is the best way to follow me and interact with my content. You can email me at thebossofbalance@gmail.com if you want to ask me a specific question before the convention. I'm trying to make the content as curated for your guys as possible. So
Great.
Yay.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you all next week.
Good night, everybody.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.